Again, Erev Shabbos, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to Jerry's Corona Contemplations for a Parshat Bashalach. This year is dedicated L'Refuah Shalema for my brother-in-law David Shepsel HaKohen Ben Chaya, who is home from the hospital with corona. He's doing well, but he should have a continued Refuah Shalema B'soch Shar Chala Yisrael. Welcome, everybody. Thank you again. And let's talk about Parshat Bashalach. One of the points that I spoke about back in, I think it was Vayishlach, yes. The whole all the similarities between Am Yisrael leaving Mitzrayim and when Yaakov Avinu left Lavan, and it was the quintessential Masa Avos Simon Labanim. We saw that Yaakov was pursued on the third day. It was told to Lavan that Yaakov had run, and he chased him for 7 days to Nachal Yabok, again by the water, and of course, that's where they made their pact and so on and so forth, the mitzvah. And here we see also as well, the Bnei Yisrael left. It says, Vayugad lamelech Mitzrayim ki varach ha'am. It was told to the king of Egypt that the people had left. What do you mean? It was told to them. He threw them out. And he, again, it was his Yetzer getting the best of him, as it did throughout the second set of Makos, the second 5. We said in the first 5, you'll notice back in Parshat Vayera, it says that Paro hardened his heart, and in the second set it says, and Paro's heart was hardened. Again, it was Hashem, of course, pulling the strings, and once a person ignores their Yetzer Tov, a person ignores their better natures, there comes a point where they become so steeped in wickedness that they practically lose their ability to choose. And a person never loses their ability to choose. They can always make the right choice, but the more that a person makes the wrong choices, the harder it becomes. And again, this is the story of Paro. It's what happened with Lavan, and again, Masa Avot Simon Labanim. So now, Am Yisrael has left Egypt. They are heading toward the Yam Suf, and of course, as we well know, they wind up on the seashore. And what do they do on the seashore? They hear the hooves of the horses and the noise of the chariots and the soldiers behind them, and they do what any good Yid would do. They whip out the Tehillim, and they start davening, which is what you should do. You pray to God. And Paro is approaching, and the people are screaming to Moshe Rabbeinu, "Why did you take us out of Egypt to die here in the desert? Wouldn't it be better to live as slaves than to die on the shores of the Reed Sea?" What does Hashem reply to Moshe Rabbeinu? Daven harder, give some tzedakah, do a mitzvah, do all those things. But he replies to Moshe Rabbeinu in very, very strange language. Ma titzake elai, daber al b'nei Yisrael v'yiso. What are you crying? Go! Did I tell you to stop? Go! Go where? Go! You do your best and God'll do the rest. You do what's right, God'll do what's left. Let's go. Yalla. So Nachshon ben Aminadav says, yeah, let's go. What does Nachshon do? Into the ocean. And what happens? Boom! The sea splits. They go through. We know the story. You can see it on the 10 Commandments, Cecil B. DeMille. Back in, I think it was 1956, that was considered serious special effects back then. But what does he do? He goes. So what are we being told here? What is this lesson? Why does remember, I say this every week, and I don't want to sound like a broken record. For those of you that are our age, you actually know what a broken record is. It's this big vinyl thing, and if it's broken, it skips. But I remember when my my daughter Danny, first time I was showing her my record collection, and she goes, "Abba, those are big CDs." That was back when there were CDs. Now everything is Spotify. But what's Hashem telling us here? I say this every week. God doesn't waste real estate. There's nothing in the Torah that's extra. Not a dot, not a cantillation, I believe is the right word. They said Rabbi Akiva was able to darshan on every single trup, every note. There's nothing extra in there. So it could have just said, Hashem said, go. But Hashem said, Ma titzak elai, what are you trying for? And this is a very important and very frequently overlooked lesson. Hashem is saying, yes, daven, scream, pray, but do. Don't just sit there. Don't just do something, sit there. Don't just sit there. Don't just sit there with the Tehillim. I mean, yes, say Tehillim. Yes, daven. But do. You gotta go. It's not going to happen by itself. Rabbi Isai, where are we? What's going on in the world? I don't have to tell you. You all have some news outlet to get your news from. When people say to me, I'm waiting for Mashiach. I'm waiting for Mashiach. I can't go to Eretz Yisrael right now. It's not for me. Aliyah is not for everybody. Yeah, you're right. It's just for the Jews. That's why it's a mitzvah in the Torah. When people say, now is not the right time, I'm waiting, they're not reading this pasuk. Daber el b'nei Yisrael v'yiso, go! You cried, what, 2,000 years more? How long are we asking Hashem, please? Every year we're crying, "Ay Hashem, just bring us home to Eretz Yisrael." 1948, Hashem said, "No, Daber el b'nei Yisrael v'yiso." I did. You paid a very high price for this. We did. Blood and treasure. 2,000 years worth. Daber el b'nei Yisrael v'yiso, go! You're gonna sit in New York, in New Jersey, in London, in Paris, and you say you're waiting for Mashiach? Hashem started the process a long time ago. Right now, the doors to Eretz Yisrael are closed. I mean closed. Not like in the first lockdown. Nothing's coming in and nothing's going out. This is a warning shot. Because Be'ezrat Hashem, please God, within another few days, the airport will be open again. Did you hear the lesson? Hashem shut the airport. Ben Gurion, the airport is closed right now. You want to make Aliyah? The Aliyah flights were canceled. First time since the establishment of the State of Israel, the Aliyah flights were canceled. You're being told something here. Listen to your messages. No, don't try to read God's mind, but you do have to listen to the messages. And this is a very loud and clear message. On Parshas Beshalach, of all weeks, the airport closed. Daber el b'nei Yisrael v'yiso. The minute that airport opens up again, go. Yalla. Don't wait. You want Mashiach? We will anoint our Mashiach when the time is right. We will. It's up to us to do it. Som tasim alecha melech. You shall place upon yourself a king. King can mean a lot of different things. A manhig. But when Am Yisrael is here in Eretz Yisrael, we will do it with Hashem's blessing. So listen to the message of this week's Parsha. Also, an interesting thing about Kriyat Yamsuf, something that I heard recently. It says, Az Yashir Moshe Uvnei Yisrael As Ashira Azos Lashem, Ashira Lashem Ki Ga'o Ga'a, etc., etc. Right? People say to me, you know, when our enemies are wiped out, whether it's ISIS or what's his name they killed in Iran, Soleimani, whatever it is, Yamach Shemam, all of them. We shouldn't celebrate that. We don't celebrate the fall of our enemies. Hashem told the Malachim at the Yam Suf, Maseh Yadai Toivim Bayam V'atem Oimrim Shira. My creations are drowning in the ocean and you're singing praise. That's not right. Who did he say that to? He said that to the Malchei Ashares. Loinit na haTorah laMalchei Ashares. The Torah was not given to the Malachim. The Torah was given to Am Yisrael, to the people, to mankind, humankind. We are not expected to act like Malachim, because if we were Malachim, we would not have been given the Torah. It's very okay to celebrate the downfall of evil. Not only is it okay, Moshe Rabbeinu himself, the greatest prophet to ever lived, led the people in the Shirat Hayam. So you don't need to be so woke. When evil is removed, feel free to celebrate it. And when I say evil, I mean evil with a capital E. I mean the Suleimanis and the Khomeinis and the Hitlers, Yamach Shemam V'zichram. That's perfectly fine. When someone who's trying to throw an incendiary balloon into Israel gets blown up by his own stupidity, feel free to say a kapitel from Hallel. It's perfectly okay. Not only is it okay, it's praiseworthy. Also, Miriam can't really get through Parshat Beshalach without Miriam. First of all, it's my mom's birthday. It was just my mom's birthday. It was my wife's birthday. All Aquarians with the splitting of the Red Sea. But my mom was named Miriam because she was born this week's Parsha. Miriam goes out with the ladies. Shirulash. Vateitze kol hanoshim achareha betufim uvimcholot. She goes out with the ladies. They had the timbrel and they had tambourines and they drums and they were singing and dancing. Where was the mechitza? I have a feeling they weren't heavy on mechitzas after having just come through the Red Sea. You'll notice there was no mixed dancing, but there was no mechitza either. I'm not saying there shouldn't be. I'm just saying we don't have to get crazy about things like this. You know, Miriam didn't have her face pixelated out in the Torah. They mention Miriam very clearly, and that all the ladies went out and danced with her. Someone was watching because it made it. So I'm not trying to be chutzpanyak over here, maybe a little bit. I made it through elementary and high school being a chutzpanyak, as my rabbanim will tell you. But I don't think we need to be frummer than God. So, yes, tznius is very important, and we should all do our best, but let's not do it at the expense of our humanity. Because at the end of the day, lo nitna haTorah lamalchei hashares. Weiter. Parshas Haman. No, it's not Haman. I remember as a child, I would look, when I was looking through the Siddur, I said Parshat Haman. I thought it was the Megillah, but it's not. It's Parshas Haman. And it is by no accident, Rabbosai, that the Parshas Haman appears immediately after Kriyas Yamsuf. You ever wonder, like, why did God throw this in over here? Like, yeah, I guess chronologically they came through. They're in the desert, the man, that's how they made it through the desert in 40s. But Smichas HaParshios is not an accident. Again, the Torah doesn't waste real estate. Why does it happen right here? They come out of Egypt. Again, Lama Zeyatzanu, the whole thing, by the water, they're going to die, they get through. Again, Mara, the water's not sweet, God has to sweeten it. So then we have the whole episode of the man. We, of course, are being taught that our sustenance comes from Hashem. There's a special skula to say Parshas Haman this week. Some people say it every day, some people say it every Tuesday. The more the better. But notice where Hashem put Parshas Haman. What were we taught by Nachshon? Amazing. Daber el b'nei Yisrael v'yiso. You gotta do. Yes, the man fell for Am Yisrael in the desert, but that ended. Once they went into Eretz Yisrael, every man shall reap what he sows. Right? Every person will have their own nachla and their own chelek, and they will reap what they sow. Yes, we are taught in the desert that all of our sustenance, everything comes from Hashem. But we got to do ours too. Just like Nachshon had to jump in. You want Parnasa? Yes, say Parshas Haman. You want to say it every day? Say it every day. Say it 3 times a day. Right? But it's not going to fall from the heavens. It did in the desert. But that was a one-time deal. We are taught the man is also dependent on Yalla. We got to do ours. We do what's right, God will do what's left. We do our best, God will do the rest. And that's what happened. See, that was the period of it coming out of the sky was only for that lofty generation. It was not IRL. It was not in real life. In real life, we each have to be our own Nachshon. And of course, how can we talk about Parshat Haman without in my opinion, this man's opinion, the most important part, the Shabbos lesson, right? Hashem said, Moshe tells the people, Friday you're going to get double. You go out on Shabbos, nothing's going to be there. Not only that, it's usher to do it on Shabbos. What did somebody do? The first thing? Yeah, of course they went out on Shabbos. Now let's see if he's right. Moshe's lying. It's going to be there anyway. You will get a double portion on Friday. One of the reasons we have 2 challahs on Shabbos, to remind us of the double portion for Shabbos that was given to us before Shabbos. People think, very mistakenly so, that they have to work on Shabbos in order to make a living. Who are they wrong? Not only do you not make, but you lose everything you think you're making on Shabbos, you're really losing it. It's the biggest mistake anybody ever makes. It's really stupid. Hashem tells you, you do yours, I will do mine. No business ever failed because they weren't open on Shabbos. As a matter of fact, there are so many stories of people, and I have to mention the story. My wife Rochi told me this story this week. It reminded me of a very famous story. When Jews first started coming to America, late 1800s, early 1900s, early 20th century, right? There was no such thing as not working on Saturday. Saturday was a work day. And people lost their jobs, but they wouldn't be Machal Shabbos. Of course, how does that show that not working on Shabbos? I'll tell you in a second. Because I heard from Rav Moshe Feinstein, no less than Rav Moshe Feinstein, that he remembers in MTJ back when people would come to shul Shabbos morning, and then they would quietly leave shul and go to work. Someone asked Rav Moshe, and Rav Moshe said, don't even mention it. Rav Moshe Feinstein himself said, the people that sacrificed and lost their job but wouldn't be Machal Shabbos, their kids today are from. The ones that went to work on Shabbos, Tzazachenvei. Yeah, that was a test. Just like the test of the man in the Midbar. But the people that stood strong, not only did their kids remain on the proper way, but many of them wound up making tremendous wealth after the fact. Whether they weren't able to work, so they wound up starting a business. I know people that happened to. They couldn't keep a job because they wouldn't work on Shabbos, so they said, you know what, we'll start our own business. And those people today, very wealthy people. Very wealthy people. Business people, generations and generations. There is always the reward for keeping Shabbos. So, Parshas Haman, this segula, that segula, don't bake keys into challah, that's not a good idea. But if you want to, whatever. But the ultimate segula is Shabbos. So, let us segue, of course, to Ein Yisrael Negolan Ela B'Schos HaShabbos. The Geula comes because of Shabbos. Shabbos is the Makara Bracha, we're told right here. You want bracha? You want parnasa? You do yours, God will do his, but you have to keep his Shabbos in order to get the bracha. So, by all means, everybody have an absolutely wonderful Shabbos. Enjoy this parsha, action-packed. They made movies. Talk about the parsha. Abyssal Kiddush, Abyssal Kugel, Abyssal Herring. Enjoy the Shabbos. Have an absolutely wonderful weekend, a wonderful week. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for joining us. Join us back here next week. Take care. Shabbat Shalom.